We are a healthcare private equity firm focused on investing with lower middle market healthcare companies. We try to partner with founder-owned businesses and help them unlock their growth potential through kind of a proprietary approach that we take to managing their operations. Yeah, so Shiftkey is a marketplace for nurses and healthcare facilities to connect to provide kind of per diem or per shift work opportunities for those nurses and to help facilities fill vacancies in their schedule. Yeah, so Shiftkey had started working with an advisor to look at bringing on some new capital to help them scale the business as they were going through pretty incredible growth at the time, growing about 300% a year. So we were lucky enough to be able to, negotiate terms with them. And as part of our due diligence, we really wanted to understand what was going on within their customer base, both on the facility side and on the nurse side. At the time, it was kind of the middle of COVID, like December 2020, and it was really tough to figure out how much of the growth was sustainable versus one time in nature. And the Topline team was able to come in and really help us, get some more kind of qualitative data to help make our decision around our investment. Yeah, it was extremely helpful in our due diligence process. Just looking at kind of the raw data, it was hard to tell exactly what was going on with the business and its customers and really how much of that growth was sustainable. But some of the insights we were able to garner from speaking directly with, nurses and facilities, and I would say, doing that at scale as opposed to just, doing like 10 customer calls and 10 calls with nurses, really having a robust survey that went out to, thousands of individuals gave us pretty good conviction around the data we were getting back from the market on the fact that this was kind of a longer term trend. Yeah, probably the most interesting thing that came out of it was how the nurses interacted with the software and the platform. And kind of our assumption going in to the investment was that most of the providers or nurses on the platform were doing this kind of on a part-time basis on the side, and we're working for other staffing agencies as well as full-time at healthcare facilities, and we're doing this to kind of make make a little bit of extra money. But what we found through the research with Topline was actually 50 to 60% of the nurses only worked per diem and just worked for Shiftkey. So the company kind of had this unique asset we didn't really appreciate existed before we started the project. And I would say the second piece that was really important to us was understanding how sustainable the growth was and if people intended to keep utilizing the platform to the same degree, kind of on a quote unquote post-COVID basis that they did during COVID. And what came out of the research that Topline did was that over, I think it was also over 50% of the customers anticipated their utilization remaining the same or increasing into the future, which was really great for us to get conviction around sustainability of the growth. The company repeatedly referred back to the due diligence in terms of evaluating how to really prioritize their go-to-market strategy, how to think about how to position the product, what features to kind of prioritize in our development queue. That was super helpful to us kind of post-closing in terms of how we were thinking about, managing the company and prioritizing our, areas of investment in the business. And actually over the course of the next year, which kind of brings us to now, I think we've worked on a couple refreshes to that survey data and asking some additional questions to help us think about how to grow the business. It's been invaluable in terms of helping us think about how to prioritize the roadmap and where to focus the team's attention. I can tell you the business grew 300% last year, so we'll ascribe a portion of that to Topline. We've used bigger firms to do market studies, like the typical big consulting firms. And I think the level of detail that they go into and the data that they're able to collect just is not as robust as what Topline has been able to provide us. So I think the insights have been much better. I also think that the team has taken a lot of time to get to know the businesses that we're invested in and tailor a lot of what we do specifically to the businesses versus more of kind of a generic product that would come out from a bigger consulting shop. I think they just hire really smart and scrappy people who are willing to dig in and do the work. And, at the end of the day, it's kind of just putting the time into the project and understanding the business. So I think it's really the team that they've assembled that's the differentiator. Yeah, we just started to work on a new kind of diligence project or on a tuck-in acquisition that we're looking at for Shiftkey. So we're doing kind of the same plan, both kind of a market study as well as specific look into the target's customer base, which will be really helpful in terms of not only evaluating it from an investment perspective, but also thinking through kind of the synergies between the two businesses and our hypothesis around how the companies would function together, and if that's a product that the customers will actually want to take up. Yeah, we have. We use them on another project for a platform that we closed in December, which was a home health business. Also, similarly, they had a lot of customers that were facilities, and they would send nursing aides into those facilities and really wanted to understand what the customer experience was. And also on the provider side, one of our big theses there was that you have to be an employer of choice and differentiated in order to retain the workforce, really understanding kind of those dynamics in the business and how the workers felt about the company. And luckily that project also came back very positively. I don't know if we got as many insights because the company was just doing so well that it was almost like overwhelmingly positive, but it was good kind of validation of their business model. The first one was in Q4 2020 when we were doing due diligence on the company. And then probably about 6 months later, we brought them in to refresh the survey, and now we're working on a third project. So about 3 times in the last 12 months. Yeah, I mean, my experience has been the team's always been super available to get on the phone and talk through where we're at. In fact, we've probably been a little bit more difficult to work with just with starts and stops that happen through any deal process. So I think they've always been accommodating and flexible and trying to work around our schedule and just understanding kind of the the flow of due diligence. It doesn't always go the way you plan, and you kind of have to work around that. And also just the readout reports that we've gotten where we spend, a couple hours going through the results that have come out of the study have been really informative, and we've gotten a ton of insights out of that process. And then lastly, just really taking the time to understand our businesses and not needing a ton of guidance on how to kind of craft the surveys and the projects. I would say we have fairly minimal comments to the work that they do, and that's really refreshing. I don't have to spend a ton of time kind of hand-holding them through the process of understanding our businesses.